Welcome back to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and I'm back here in the home gym getting ready to work out. I've been doing a 40 miles in 40-day weighted vest workout challenge, so I'm carrying about 45 pounds of weight when I do the workout. I've got my weighted vest back there. Before I start working out, I want to talk about the latest public health we'll say alert. I hate to use the word emergency. I hate to use the word pandemic, but we're talking about encephalitis, whether it's West Nile encephalitis or Eastern equine encephalitis. They're both in the news right now. But I want to go through what is it, what's the history, what are the symptoms, treatments, and then we'll kind of conspiratorize a little bit at the end, if that's a thing. Let's just talk about where we're at in the world today, the way things are today, and what to look out for, right? And the hottest prep of 2024, who knew? Deep woods insect repellent, right? Get some while you can, I guess, right? But let's talk about that. Is this really a pandemic? So if you Google search West Nile, mosquito virus, Google search mosquito virus, you'll get a brush, right? You'll get hit by a ton of scary news articles. West Nile spreading, Illinois, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. It talks about people dying and all these articles in the last couple days. So Google search mosquito virus and you'll get hit. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what it should be and what it could be, right? So there's two things right now. So West Nile, if we go to Encephalitis International, let's read through this. What is West Nile encephalitis? West Nile virus, WNV. Encephalitis is an infectious encephalitis caused by West Nile virus. People can get infected from the bite of a mosquito that is infected with the virus. West Nile is transferred mainly between pigeons and crows by Culex mosquitoes. The virus is not transmitted from person to person, although there are a small proportion of reported cases where transmission has followed organ transplantations, breastfeeding, blood transfusion, so it's in the blood. It is possible to go that way, but it's not the zombie rage virus or the last pandemic where you got to stay 6 feet apart. Right, there's no evidence that a person can get the virus from handling live or dead infected animals. Still not a good idea. West Nile virus, I guess live. Let me step back on that. I handle live animals all the time. Live or dead infected birds. However, it is still recommended beforehand. Contact with dead animals is avoided. West Nile fever virus was first discovered in Africa in 1937. Since then, the virus has been found to be distributed not only in Africa, but also Southern Europe, the Middle East, America, and parts of the Far East. In 2002, West Nile was declared endemic in the U.S. The virus has since spread across the North American continent into Canada, or is now endemic in the Caribbean, although only very few cases have been reported in Latin America. As recently, outbreaks have occurred in Europe and in 2016, including Hungary, Serbia, Austria, Italy, Romania, Ukraine, and Spain. Surveillance is currently taking place in the southeast of the UK. However, the virus has not been found in any mosquitoes in this country. So that's what is West Nile encephalitis virus. Encephalitis International. So if you look at a study, there was a study from WashU Medicine. West Nile was first identified in the Western Hemisphere in 1999 when groups of birds began dying in New York, and veterinary pathologists at the Bronx Zoo brought the deaths to the attention of the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. I just can't speak today. It's not my day. CDC. The virus has since spread throughout the Americas, infecting millions of people. 10,000 West Nile virus survivors are living with long-term neurological problems such as fatigue, weakness, difficulty walking, memory loss. And the number goes up by about 1,000 every year following mosquito season. There is no vaccine or specific treatment for West Nile infection. So this is an every year thing, right? West Nile virus is every year. It is extremely rare, right? And those are two things I want to talk about. Extremely rare. It does happen every year. They say about 1,000 people get more of the encephalitis sites. You can get West Nile without getting encephalitis. You get encephalitis. there are some issues, right? And encephalitis is no joke. I want to make sure I point that out. We'll keep going there. I've got some stuff I want to cover. Minnesota Department of Health. We'll jump over to Minnesota. How serious is West Nile virus disease? Most people infected with this virus will have either no symptoms or a mild flu-like illness. Symptoms usually showing up suddenly within 1 to 2 weeks of being bitten by an infected mosquito. Mild illness due to the West Nile virus may include fever, headache, muscle or joint aches, and rash. Less than 1% of people who are infected may develop encephalitis or meningitis. Sorry, I had to check my equipment there. Inflammation of the brain or surrounding tissues. So if you've got West Nile, only about 1% actually end up with the encephalitis part. People with severe neurological illness may develop high fever, headache, stiff neck, and vomiting. The illness may then progress quickly to confusion, altered reflexes, seizures, coma, and paralysis. Recovery from severe neurological disease may take months, and some effects may be permanent. About 10% of those with severe nervous system illness will die. There is no treatment for the illness other than supportive care. Hospitalization may be necessary for severe cases. So that's how serious, right? Encephalitis, as I said, is no joke. You do not want to get it, but it's also very rare. And I think it's important to understand, to bridge that, we're talking about things that are very rare here, right? So if you go back to Encephalitis International, Diagnosis and Prognosis of West Nile encephalitis. Diagnosis is made based on the symptoms and in most cases can be confirmed by urine, blood, or cerebrospinal fluid surrounding the brain and the spinal cords. Tests that detect the virus or the body's immune response to the virus. West Nile encephalitis is associated with considerable short-term and long-term risks of death and significant difficulties such as fatigue, weakness, depression, difficulty walking, ataxia, and memory loss. So you don't want it, right? Once again, you do not want to get the encephalitis part. Treatment and prevention. So there's no specific treatment for the cause of West Nile encephalitis, and the treatment is supportive. Treatment in many cases consists of treating the complications of the disease, such as high fever and aches, low blood pressure, blood loss, convulsions, raised pressure within the skull. So it causes the swelling in the brain, which is very uncomfortable and can lead to severe brain damage in some cases. The simplest preventative measure is to avoid bites from mosquitoes that carry the virus. This means wearing long sleeves and trousers, especially during the evening when the bites more frequently, and avoiding areas where stagnant water can be found, as mosquito larvae will need still water to develop. Tricky one there. For further protection, use any Inspect spray containing at least 30% DET. Sleep under bed nets. There's no vaccine at present to protect against West Nile, although several are being developed and tested. So keep moving on here. Memory loss. So if you go to Washington U medicine, every year as the mosquito season arrives, so does the West Nile virus, causing fever in thousands of people nationwide and life-threatening brain infections in unlucky few, about half of the people who survive the infection, West Nile encephalitis, are left with permanent neurological deficits, such as memory loss. We'll jump back to Minnesota Department of Health. What can people do to prevent West Nile virus disease? The best way to prevent West Nile virus disease is to protect yourself and your family from mosquito bites. We're talking about mosquitoes now, so it's not social distancing, it's not wear a mask, it's not wear a mask alone in your car. It's mosquitoes, right? Mosquitoes are nasty little bugs. If they want us to lock ourselves down, apparently infected mosquitoes might be the way to go. So what can you do? The best way to prevent West Nile is protect yourself and your family from mosquito bites. Avoid outdoor activities at dusk and dawn, the peak feeding time for many mosquitoes, particularly from July through September. And that's something I want to point out now. We might go back to it at the end. It's September, right? And really you're talking about September, July through September. It's going to teeter out October, certainly by November. Most mosquitoes don't do well in cold weather. So this is not something that's going to carry on throughout the rest of the year. unless there's some super terminator mosquitoes out there, this is going to teeter out, right? So we're really talking about probably a September issue. Use repellents containing DEET according to label directions. Up to about 30% DEET is safe and effective for adults and children over 2 months of age. Other effective repellents include picadarn, IR 3535, and oil of lemon eucalyptus if you're into the herbal stuff. Only use products that are registered by the EPA. Certainly your personal decision. If you like essential oils and whatnot, that kind of thing, certainly try it. Pre-treat clothing and gear with paramethrin-based products, and I've done that many times. If you're going out into a wild area, pre-treat your pants, your socks, all that kind of stuff with the paramethrin. Could help with ticks. It could obviously help with mosquitoes. Not a bad idea if you're going into a very undeveloped area, which we have plenty of out where I live in Texas. Wear loose-fitting long-sleeve shirts and pants. Keep mosquitoes out of your home by maintaining screens or windows and doors, right? And happens to maybe all of us, maybe not, but you can get hit by a mosquito in your house, right? They'll come in, you open the door, they find their way in. So even just hiding out in the house isn't always going to get you there. Protect yourself and your family from other mosquito-borne illnesses in Minnesota. This was a chunk from Minnesota. Empty standing water around your home at least once a week to prevent mosquitoes from using containers as breeding sites, buckets, flower pots, saucers, pet bowls, bird baths, kiddie pools. For me, it's the pig wallow, right? I know the mosquitoes love coming together in the pig wallow. Check gutters, remove leaves frequently to ensure proper drainage. You don't want, puddles of water in your gutter. Tightly cover or screen water storage containers, rain barrels, that kind of thing. Fill water holding tree holes with dirt or sand, and then recycle old tires. So if you got, one of those people that's got old tires sitting around, old toilets, all that kind of yard decorations, right? You don't want the mosquitoes in there. So that's the West Nile side, right? And once again, if you Google mosquito outbreak, mosquito virus, you're going to get a lot of articles of things happening right now, people dying right now. I just wanted to add the temper the panic is this happens every year, right? These are common, reoccurring, and rare viruses. But we'll keep going because you're not just hearing about West Nile right now. Eastern equine encephalitis, triple E, is also something you're hearing about in the news. So triple E, Eastern equine encephalitis virus, is spread to people by the bite of an infected mosquito. Only a few cases are reported in the United States each year. Most cases occur in eastern or Gulf Coast states. Although rare, once again, these are all very rare. Eastern equine encephalitis is very serious, no joke, right? Approximately 30% of the people who develop severe triple E die, and many survivors have ongoing neurological problems. So certainly not something you want to get, right? Not any fun. Symptoms of Eastern equine encephalitis can include fever, headache, vomiting, diarrhea, seizures, behavioral changes, and drowsiness. There are no vaccines to prevent or medicines to treat triple E. You can reduce your risk of infection with triple E by preventing mosquito bites. So once again, the spray. Sit it down, the hottest prep of 2024, who knew? Mosquito spray, right? Certainly can't hurt to try. This is the Deep Woods, long-lasting protection from mosquitoes, ticks, biting flies, gnats, and chiggers, Zika, dengue fever, or West Nile. So maybe pick some up. I don't know. I don't know how far this whole infection is going to go. What's going to happen? I want to keep going, but we'll kind of circle back to little talking conspiracy after this. What is Eastern equine encephalitis? If we go to the New York Department of Health, Eastern equine encephalitis, triple E, is an extremely rare but serious and often fatal infection that causes encephalitis or inflammation of the brain. It's spread by the bite of a mosquito infected with triple E virus. Triple EV can also infect a wide range of animals, including mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. The spread of triple EV to mammals, including humans and horses, occurs through the bite of infected mosquitoes that feed on both birds and mammals. So it's going to go between the two. Mosquito hits you, and you're in bad shape. So go back to the CDC. This is where we talk about how common. So in the United States, an average of 11 cases of Eastern equine encephalitis are reported annually. So we're talking 11 people in the U.S. out of over 300 million. This is very rare. It's very serious. I'm not saying it's not. This is very rare. 11 people a year. So if you go to PubMed Central, the largest human outbreak in more than 50 years was 38 cases reported in 2019, including 12 deaths. So 38 people got triple E, 12 people died. It's no joke, right? But it's also very rare. So look at where we're at now, though. If we go to today.com, where is deadly mosquito virus spreading in the U.S.? 5 states reporting cases of triple E. Is a rare but deadly virus spread by mosquitoes. Recent cases in northeastern U.S. have residents on high alert. What to know about symptoms and prevention. Eastern equine encephalitis, also known as triple E or EEE, is a rare mosquito-borne viral disease that has killed 1 person and infected at least 5 others in the United States this year. The deadly virus, which is circulating in the Northeast, stoking fears about outbreaks and putting some communities on high alert. Just days after New Hampshire officials announced the death of a healthy 41-year-old man from the virus, a second human case of triple E was confirmed in Massachusetts. Cases have been reported in at least 3 other states. So it's here, right? And once again, I don't want to downplay that. It's bad. You certainly don't want to get it. It is rare, right? I want to throw that out there. However, you Google search mosquito virus and you're getting a barrage of hits of news articles that make it sound quite horrible, and you certainly don't want to get it. This virus is spreading Illinois, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, but it happens every year, right? So this is one of those situations like we had with Mpox. We're like, hey, Mpox, super rare, not usually deadly, but everyone jumps in, well, it's mutated. No, sorry, throw that all out the window. This is super monkeypox, it's mutated. So are these super mosquitoes? Is this super triple E? Is it super West Nile virus? Has it mutated? Has it gone through gain of function, right? We're gonna put on the tinfoil hat. We dropped a video not too long ago talking about some of the impact of things like artificial intelligence on gain of function, on manipulated viruses. Is that what this is? I don't think so right now, right? I'm not saying it is. We'll have to see, right? This happens every year. The biggest was 50 cases. So are we close to 50 cases? It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like that right now. Average is 11 cases. We're close to average, and said you would expect by September, by end of September, most of this to die out. So what do? You keep your mosquito spray, deal with puddles of water. You don't want large puddles of water on your property, around your house, around your apartment, wherever you live. There's precautions you can and should take to avoid the mosquitoes, especially if you're in an area where this is spreading, right, where people are getting sick, where you know the virus is working. I saw some videos in New York of them spraying the mosquito killer up into the air, and I get it, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing that. I'm also saying you shouldn't panic, right? You want to react appropriately. Now, if all of a sudden we've gone to, this turns into the worst year ever on record by 3 orders of magnitude, you got to stop and ask yourself what's going on, right? What happened? What's going on? Why would something like that happen? And is it a coincidence that something like that would happen? And once again, it's an election year. Can't deny that. I said we're not talking about going too deep into politics, but we know it is an election year. So would that have any influence? Would that potentially inspire people to want to do something? Then everyone would lock down, hide in their houses? I'm not saying they would. I'm just saying what if on all of that, but I'm saying we're not there, right? We're really not there at that point. You should take precautions. It's historically, right, not something that's going to spread across the country and wipe us all out. It's just not the way this stuff works, right? Not saying you couldn't. If there was someone messing around with genetics, some crazy mad scientist in a lab. But we're not saying that happened. We're not saying anything like that's going on. Be aware of it. Be aware of it if it's in your area. React accordingly. This really shouldn't blow up and spread across the country and take us all out. It's just not, it's not that kind of thing. Not to say it couldn't, but it really shouldn't, right? The odds are not very good on that. So that's all I've got. Another public health edutainment PSA video here. Time for me to work out, so trying to get in shape. Certainly your health is important. I have been enjoyed doing the weighted vest workouts. I think it just puts a lot more you put a lot more energy into working out, right? So I always hope that helps out. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.